I used to work in TIE, which was theatre in education. One of the most cringe-worthy jobs you could probably exist in. And there was a season where I was working down in Huddersfield, and our accommodation was next to a pub, just a wee local pub. And there was a girl that worked there that was just beautiful. I was just really enamoured with her. And I was just too nervous to ever approach her or ask her out or ask her a number or anything really. The only thing I quite cowardly did was asked another member of staff that worked there one of the evenings that she wasn't there what her name was. And then I wrote her a letter, like a handwritten letter, and handed it in to the bar staff. Not even to her. I gave it to someone else that worked there to say, can you give this to Sam? And not only did I never hear back from her, to this day I wake up in sweats thinking they probably didn't even give her the letter. Like they probably just read my kind of 19-year-old kind of teenage achy heart letter out to each other and pissed themselves laughing, slagged me off behind my back for the rest of the kind of 2 months I was down there as I came into the bar. And it haunts me to think I wrote such a cheesy, loving, handwritten letter to a girl I never really knew, never even really saw again, and never heard from, and handed it over to these just lads that worked in a pub. But that's what this podcast is all about. Welcome to another episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers with me, your host Chris Thorburn, in association with the Stand Comedy Club. Stop watering dead flowers. I'm delighted to say this week's guest is a very special guest, I could say. It's the one and only Chris Thorburn, who not only is one of the country's kind of best, brightest stand-up comedians, performers as well, sketch artists, writers, but also the editor of this very podcast as well. How have you found, you've listened to every single one of these, obviously, probably more than most and intently. Has that given you a bit more fear or a bit more kind of excitement into doing it yourself?
I sometimes wonder, like, do I have good enough cringe? Like, have I lived enough? Like, you know, when you hear some of the things people have gone through, and like when people go through, it's because they've put themselves out there, and they really grasped at things and they failed to grab them, but they like,
so you're like, I need to embarrass myself more.
Yeah, like, you know, failure only comes with, you know, an attempt. I mean, I loved that story. That is because when you're 19 as well, you watch romantic comedies and you think, or you see you hear all these songs and you think big gestures, like, you know, like big letters and stuff, and then you're faced with the reality of. I
really do picture these guys just reading it and pissing themselves laughing.
That's magneted to a fridge somewhere.
Yeah, because I never even knew her, so a lot of the letter was just like this embellishment of our brief encounters, of my perception of who she was and how wonderful it was to meet her and how beautiful she was, and it's so awful. I had a lot of incidents like that in my youth. I used to write songs a lot of the time as well. I've sang some of them on stage, and even then it was cringeworthy years later. But we'll find out. I'm sure you've people, I think a lot of people have panicked about coming on here and sharing things that they don't think's that bad, and then they realise when they're saying it out loud, it's probably much worse than you think. And also more relatable, because it's always the most simple things that often leave the kind of biggest scar.
Yeah. And like listening to the podcast, and then like when you asked me the other night, like if I'd be on it, and I've just been thinking about cringe in general, and like the value that cringe has in our lives. Because sometimes, especially like even just within comedy, you see people, and it's just like, oh, like just let it go. Cringe. The idea of cringe is holding you back. Just let yourself be. And then you meet somebody with no cringe.
Oh,
and you're
man.
Like, let's bring in a little.
You need a little bit.
Oh, just a little dash, you know, just to temper it. You know? Finding that balance. That
happy medium there. Okay. Well, let's delve in, and as tradition now dictates, we shall start in your childhood. What have you got for us?
All right, now this is potentially a dodgy story.
That you're going to edit out yourself later.
Well, here's the thing, because again, it's a potentially dodgy story about a child. But the child is me. And frankly, I'm okay with it. And I've also internally, I've astral projected back to myself in the past, like childhood me. And I've said, hey, I'm going to tell the story about you on a podcast. Are you okay with it? And he said, what's a podcast? I'm like, that's a yes. That's
So you've got consent from past you.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
Yeah. Because I remember when you're growing up, everybody growing up reaches that certain stage, that certain age where the change starts happening, and things are, things are growing and things are moving and stuff like that. And it happens for different folk at different ages. For me, it was my last year of primary school.
Okay.
I feel like if I'd had maybe a few years later, I'd have done a better job at it. I'd have been taller. I would look more like an adult man instead of just like this kind of, haggard child that I look like. But yeah, it was my last year at primary school, and like puberty starts setting in, adolescence, and one of the major things is, all of a sudden, any young man, like when they reach that age, then there's always the threat of, different schools, different groups have different names for it, like a stoner, a hard-on. Do you remember Stiffy?
Oh, Stiffy, yeah.
Stiffy went out of vogue. Like
it was funny even hearing stoner, which I've not heard for a while.
Yeah,
stoner.
I remember I was doing a gig with Billy Kirkwood in Utrecht in Holland, and it was Billy's show, Watch Bad Movies. With
yeah.
And we're chatting, like we're riffing, and then I made some joke about one of the characters in the movie having a stoner, and like Billy just broke, and he was like, "Did you just say stoner? They don't know what a stoner is." And I had to ask this audience of Dutch people, "Does anyone know what a stoner is?"
A stoner. What a word!
But yeah, the old 12 o'clock salute, and and the thing is, at that age, it can. There's no rhyme or reason for it. Sometimes it can just creep up on you, and I remember it surely that's proof that there's no God. If there was a God, if there was actual intelligent design in human beings, it's just like, okay, let them get through primary school and all of high school, then.
There's a time and a place.
Rattle out puberty then, and after they've got their education out of the way and they're grown adults who are ready. No. Just for a laugh, let's do this to children who have no idea.
In the most formative years of their life.
Yes, and the thing is, in the last year of primary school, in the second half of that year, then we got the talk. Then we started getting the videos and stuff. But by that point, for maybe some of us, it was too late. And we were already we're in the weeds of this, and we've had no one to explain this to us. But I remember it was an assembly. For some reason, there was an assembly where we had been selected and nominated to tell Bible stories.
Oh yeah.
Is that still the case? Just in schools in general, is religion still a part of assembly?
I don't know. Do you know? I remember asking my sister this recently. She's a primary school teacher, and I don't think it is now, because everything definitely seemed to have a kind of demotional tint to some sort of affiliation. But I think they've died out a little bit.
Yeah, because that was kind of all assembly was.
Yeah.
Couple some banging hymns, songs, who's the king of the jungle? Rah!
I'll still sometimes burst into a kind of, what was the one about, open the door, let Jesus return.
Oh my God, yeah.
That was one at school, I'm sure. It was a banger.
Yeah, and then like, shine, Jesus, shine. Or am I, is that Sweet Caroline?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was nominated to tell the story of Noah's Ark.
Wow.
And I'm already like, just it's public performance anyway, like, so you're stood in line, other people are like telling their stories in front of the entire school, and I'm in line, and you're already getting like, you're nervous, you're getting the dry mouth and everything like that.
Yeah.
And just in my brain, I thought to myself, now would be a terrible time for that to happen. And clearly some miscommunication in your biology, and like he's just, oh, now loud and clear, got you. And just like
Wow.
full mast in front of the entire school while telling the entire story of Noah's Ark.
Wow. Could have sailed the ark with it.
Yeah.
Could have tied a sail to this bad boy.
100%. And keep in mind, these are like, do you remember school uniform trousers? It's not like denim that at least got a bit of like hold to it. Like, no, you are truly pitching a tent.
Yeah.
And looking out, and I distinctly remember looking out and seeing, like, again, the majority of the school is kids, and just like not really noticing or understanding, but like some teachers, like, oh no. Oh no, should we stop this? And just had to style it out.
Oh.
and that I feel like in my life I've let go of a lot of cringe. I've embraced the cringe inside me, and like, just been like, and as soon as I did that, I let go, and I was freer. I was like, just let cringe happen and don't let it hold you back. But that's still one that haunts me at night, and it keeps me up.
That's going to haunt me now.
Yes. Like, is that okay to go
I
on
wonder.
the podcast? It's a child, but the child is me.
Yeah. I wonder if there was something just subliminal, that was going on. Maybe all the talk of the animals going on 2 by 2, and it's kind of overtly sexual. And
yeah, this guy just really loves boats.
you mentioned a giraffe, and your body's trying to be like, oh.
He's just trying to get involved,
That's a tough one. Wow. Mm-hmm. For someone that said you didn't know if you had any particularly bad ones, you've started off with a real zinger.
Yeah, just.
Was it addressed? Did anyone try and literally like bring it up?
No,
no pun intended.
There's a little part of me that was like, that I was like, maybe you got away with this. And then, go to sit down, back in the audience. And then I was next to a guy in my class, and he just, again, like, he's a wee kid, but like amazing comic timing. He just goes, Stiffy. And like, I had to, as embarrassed as I was, I had to laugh right then and there. Just, okay, yeah.
And that's a good friend, really, as well. Because he wasn't like slagging you off. He was just like, "Hey, Stiffy."
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I was so embarrassed and so humiliated, and like, and still haunts me to this day. But cut to like about 5 years later, I'm in secondary school, and there's a guy in my class, like, who I won't name, but like, he, and just. It was game changing. I remember just there was one day, just like in amongst the class, and folk just stood around, and he's got a stiffy, and he's just gone, oh, look at this, isn't this funny? Now, could that be read as problematic behavior? Sure, but the fact that he didn't fight it, he just owned it, and it was in amongst some of us, it was kind of like, I didn't know you could do that.
Wow, yeah.
Because I remember in like the second half of primary school, when you get the talk and you get the videos and stuff, and one of the videos is like, and it's explained, sometimes blood will rush to a certain part of your body, and there are certain ways to. There's a wee talking head interview with a wee kid who is just like, yeah, just when that happens, sometimes what I do is I just stick my hands in my pockets, and like half the class are watching it, like, don't you blow up our spot, all right? Like, that's our trick. Don't ruin our secrets.
It was like when Superbad came out, and everyone realised they weren't the only ones that were tucking their erections into the the waistband of their trousers. Everyone's like, oh, thank God, everyone does that.
Yeah.
It's a real unifying moment.
Yeah. Like that was. I remember seeing that movie opening night, and there's so many different elements of that movie that are just like, I've never seen this brought on screen before. Like, some of us did draw dicks, just because they were fun to draw.
There is something so shameful. I mean, I've told this story so many times on stage, so I'm going to try and do a bastardized shortened version, but there is an unreal level of kind of shame and guilt and kind of self-repression in Scotland and the UK, and that's why I was always enamoured with a guy. I tell a story on stage about a guy, Maurice Lipsch, a Dutch guy I met, who just when you're talking about someone just owning their body and being proud of it. When I was young and I did a trip over to Asia, and where you meet people from around and they take you in. We were supposed to go for a massage, and I was getting really nervous because I was nervous about what would happen if I got an erection. That was what I was nervous about. Yeah. And when Maurice was like, "Why are you so worried about that, man? Just relax." I said, "Are you mad? Wouldn't it be terrible if you turned over at the end and you had this massive erection?" And he said the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. He just went, "I just wait for the applause to die down and let them carry on." And it's so cool and just a million miles away from what we were all like over here.
And maybe if we just owned it a little more. Maybe when I was just up there telling the story of Noah's Ark to the class, maybe if I just went, hang on 2 seconds, take my blazer off, hang it up, and then and they just continue with the story. It's just the confidence,
God made everything. You're like, this is what you want, people. Yeah. He's involved.
Mind that last story the previous person told about how we learned shame? Forget that.
Do you know, as another random aside, in primary 7, we did our kind of primary 7 school show was Noah and the Ark.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I always remember it very vividly is because not only was I Noah, got to play the title or role of Noah, but between the two performances we had to do, we were doing it over 2 days. I had a horrendous eye injury where my eyelid was sliced open by someone. When you're young, just jumping up and trying to touch a roof is even exciting. Well, we were doing that in one of the corridors of the school, and Jason, I shouldn't say his last name, but when Jason was jumping up to do it and his arms went out by his side as he was elevating them up to try and touch the roof, his pinky finger went right under my eyelid and his nail sliced my eyelid open as it came out. And I was raced to hospital, and it was one of the worst things I've experienced actually. I got an injection in my eyeball where they numbed it, and then I got stitches in my eyelid, and then I had an eye patch on. But to my credit, I went back to school the very next day with an eye patch, and I was like, I used to joke that I was actually the inspiration for Pirates of the Caribbean. I was like Pirate Noah, one-eyed Noah, and did the last performance of the Noah and the Ark with an eye patch.
That is so cool. Was it the kind of flesh covered eye patch you got, or
no? It was quite a big padded one. It wasn't a cool one or themed. It was quite a medical looking thing. It was the equivalent of an orthopedic shoe on your eye. It wasn't cool at all. But it felt funny. But I did have to spend then about 2 months of people just constantly being like, aye, oh, aye, But a freak injury and accident, but it really made Noah's Ark a bit more exciting.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember they made their Noah movie with Russell Crowe?
I do.
Yeah, I was working at the cinema when they brought that out, and it was mobbed because I guess you make a Bible movie and you will get a certain audience. But am I misremembering it? Did he have an eye patch?
I think you're right.
Did you inspire this?
I think you're right.
Darren Aronofsky saw you in that performance.
That was a terrible movie as well.
It was.
They really tried to make Noah like an action star.
It's such a strange blip in his career. It's like the guy that made Requiem for a Dream and Black Swan and The Wrestler, and it's he's doing what? Noah.
Well, we've started off very well, I think. Things can only go down from here, pun intended. There's no rhyme or reason to our format in terms of where you'd like to go next. We usually offer up if you'd like to go to your career or relationship one.
Now I was thinking of career, and there's things that I could have let really eat me up inside. But I think when talking about like, kind of my relationship with cringe, and I think I'm now in a healthy place where I just let cringe happen to me and then pass through me, and
Nice.
it's just let it happen and don't try to fight it. I am a cringe person, and
This sounds like a lot like your first story. Your attitude to cringe now sounds a lot like your first story. Look, don't fight it, just let it happen.
Yeah.
It'll pass.
Yeah. So I was trying to think of like any particularly like embarrassing gigs or anything. All I can think of is there was one years back that was the only time that I've ever been brought off mid-set. Because the gig got pulled mid-set.
Wow.
It was, do you know that place in Finiston, Strip Joint?
Yes.
Yeah, and there for a brief while there was a gig that was happening in there, and it was one of those gigs where it's in the bar. It's not like in a separate function space.
Do you know I booked that gig?
Oh my God!
And when it first began, I knew the guy. I actually went to school with the guy that owned the pub,
right?
And so I helped him out with like maybe the first 4 or 5 of them, and then I handed it over to someone. So I'm not aware of this though, but now I'm curious because I'm like, I remember that gig specifically.
Well, now, I'm dreadfully sorry because I do not remember who it was who booked me for it. I remember our good friend Roscoe was on hosting duties that night. But you know the setup, it's just in the bar.
Oh boy,
and
you're exposed.
It's kind of ambush gig, you know, like, and that night I think there was maybe a football game on or something like that. But so I'm the first proper act on, like Roscoe's comparing, he's hosting, and it's clear immediately like folk are not there for the comedy.
Yeah.
And he's hosting, he's doing as best as he can, and Roscoe's fantastic, but when you got a room that are having comedy inflicted upon them, there'll be resistance. And so he does his bit, and then he brings me on, and I'm just doing my set, like I'm like not even addressing the setup of the room and the fact that this is weird.
You
or whatever.
just have to go through it, man. Yeah.
And then as it's happening, Roscoe's like kind of chatting to like the barman and like having a conversation, and then I just see from the back of the room like him making the, like, for listeners, he's like making the like cut throat kind of just like kill it. Like, it's
wow.
done. And so I'm in the middle of a bit, and I'm like and I'm just being told that are we pulling this? I guess we're pulling this. Okay then. Well, and it was a very humbling moment. But so that's one of the, so I'm trying to think like so this is kind of cheating in that it's not career. So I was trying to think like, but another public performance, and this was.
But can I just say, going back to that one, I mean, I genuinely don't think I've ever heard of a gig being pulled mid-set. That is unique.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to address that more. You've really just skated over that there.
Yeah, you're right.
That is incredible.
It's because...
Was there other acts waiting to go on?
There were other acts
that were probably like, oh, thank God it happened.
I think so, yeah. I think I was the canary in the coal mine, and... yeah, and so I think I just hand back over to Roscoe, and like Roscoe, I think it just says like, yeah, sorry about that, and enjoy the rest of your nights. And the worst part was like prior to the set, I had received a message from Monkey Barrel saying, Chris, you nearby? I'm like, oh no, I've double booked myself that night. And it was very early on when I was like, I think that would have been like my second spot at Monkey Barrel, and I was like, whoops.
I'd think about that one.
Yeah, because the fact that I could have had a gig that night, and who knows how that gig would have went, but it would have went.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I recently did an ambush gig. I think we were chatting about it the other night. Yeah, it's probably no disrespect to anybody involved in the organization of that gig, but it was just when you think you're done with that kind of gig, that doesn't happen to you anymore. And it was about 2 Saturdays ago, and you're in the bar of a caravan park. No one on a Saturday night. No one's there for the comedy. Like, they are there on holiday, and you are ruining their one Saturday night in the bar. And and a wee girl's doing cartwheels next to you, and you're like, and you know, and
the line of when you're just in a bar in a caravan park. I mean, that's so beautiful.
And you just want to pull the cord and say, I've been on the BBC, by the way.
I hate that feeling as well, where you think, I want to tell them that I have done other things. This gig doesn't define me, please.
I don't know if this is fair to the person, but do you remember great act? He's no longer in comedy, and he's no longer in the UK. Do you remember Donald Alexander?
Oh yeah, Big Donald.
Very funny guy, love him to bits. And I remember there was a Thursday night where me and John Agasild were booked to do another gig. That gig didn't happen. Luckily, it got pulled before the gig was happening.
Yeah.
And then we're like, we're out on a Thursday night. Well, we go down to Yes Bar, the old Yes Bar that used to be a great spot for like trying out stuff.
Yeah.
But this was in December, where audiences are a little livelier and stuff. So we get in. So the show's already started. The room is full. We open the door, and I don't know what the context of it was, but it's just like the audience has a bit of energy to them. And the first thing we hear is like Donald saying to somebody in the audience, well, actually, no, I am good at this because like I get paid to do this, and I've done gigs on television, and so it's like, oh wow, the wheels have come off this early. When you're listing your credentials to the audience,
there's nothing like it, really, is it? I mean, it's the most humbling job.
Yeah. So I don't know if this quite classifies as career, but because it was in, again, early stages of live performance. It was again, might have been like a year after the Noah's Ark story.
Okay.
So now I'm in secondary school, but also at nights I'm in a drama class, and we do like it's a drama group where you'd put on 2 shows a year. In the summer, you'd put on a standard. You'd put on Oliver, Annie, Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. But then in winter, you would do a variety show where, you'd do sketches, you'd do maybe songs from shows that you're not going to do. So, you're not going to do West Side Story, but you'll do, I Want to Be in America, all that kind of thing. And there's a little bit of like, here's some of the bits that you're going to be doing, but also if anybody has anything they'd like to pitch that they would like to do. And I'm, at this point, I'm 12 years old, and I've been doing the drama class for a while, and like we've done a few shows, and again, it's that stage in your life where you're trying to fight cringe. You're just like,
you've become socially aware,
and and it controls you too much, and you're like, show tunes aren't cool. I'm through the other end. I love show tunes. I love musicals, but at the time you're like, oh, they're not cool. No, I don't like it. So I was like, I want to do a song. I want to do Stan by Eminem.
Wow.
and the drama teacher was like, of course you can, because why would you even try to fight that? That's the funniest thing. A child wants to perform this song about an obsessive fan who murder-suicides his pregnant girlfriend. Let it happen. And he even arranged, so he got like a chorus line of girls from the drama group to do the Dido part.
Oh my God!
He's gone cold, I wonder. And so we went like, I get all these.
Can I tell you right now? If this story ends in "and I got a stoner," this will be amazing.
Yeah, I got a stoner and Stan. I mean, at this point, it was my signature. Folks still come to see me at the comedy festival. Like, when's it gonna happen? So
it turned into a full-scale production.
Yeah, and so like during the choruses, like the chorus line of girls would do the chorus, and then the verses, I would storm back on stage, backwards cap, long sleeve t-shirt underneath a short sleeve t-shirt. I look like a create your custom character from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Just really laying it on. And I do the first 2 verses. You come on, you do a verse, you go off. You come back on, do a verse, go off. And then I come on, I do the 3rd verse, and I just completely forget the words.
No.
And I'm just stood there. and you know, like you'll know, like when you're performing like sort of musical comedy and maybe
but
there's
when it
backing track,
goes-
it's like you can't hop back on really.
Yeah.
Like you're off the track, and then I just kind of stop. I'm sorry, and then I just walk off, and then so the chorus line of girls are just stood there waiting for the chorus to kick in. My tea's gone cold, and then like I come back on for the fourth verse, but there's still an element of no, you don't do this.
Yeah.
No, you already shat it. You can't come on and do the last verse of this song.
Oh, that's a hard one. Knowing the age you were, that is it. All the ones from around that 12, 13, 14, when you know kids are so judgmental as well. That's a sore one.
And you're really trying to do a thing of, I'm going to be cool right now. I'm going to
Such
do
a
this.
big song as well.
Yeah. Like
Maybe your inner Sodenheim was fighting back.
100%. This is not who you are. Stop trying to be this. And you're a little theatre boy, and you know it.
They're both great stories actually for that as well. Let's move on to your relationship one, if that's okay. And again, it can be from any time of your life. It doesn't have to be one of the more serious relationships you're in. It can be a brief fling. It can be a girl you fancied. Where have you gone for this?
So this is a story that's kind of got two parts. Because again, now I'm in a. I've been married now for about 6 years, and I've been with the same person for like 13 years, and it's just lovely, like when you just, again, you're at peace with yourself, and you just allow yourself to just be yourself with somebody who understands you, and it's great. And so again, cringe just does not enter into it, because like they've seen you at your best and your worst and everything, and you somebody knows you as well as anybody can know you, and it's nice. So I have to go way, way, way back. So this was, So this was second semester, first year at uni, and I was a late bloomer. I did not lose my virginity until I went to uni. Like, so keep in mind, I've been ready to go since primary school.
Since Noah's Ark.
And it's like, no, I want to focus on my education. This is my choice.
There's nothing wrong in that. Nothing wrong at all.
And it was just, especially because I was quite young when I went to uni, like, because I was young starting primary school, like some folks start when they were 5. I started when I was 4, and I didn't take a gap year or anything like that. So I was one of maybe like 3 or 4 people in first semester who were 17, like, so like,
right.
And so there were nights where like everybody else would go to the nightclub, just me and the 3 other 17-year-olds just like, drinking in halls and waiting for everybody to come home and everything. But yeah, this was a Halloween party, and there was like some folk in from like out of town, and so there was a friend of a friend was like visiting, and we were hitting off, which was quite nice. I think because she didn't know me, like there was no baggage or anything like that. Like I had lots of friends and everything, and they're like, but no, like we, and yeah, and we're hitting it off, and then it looks as though like, this is maybe gonna go elsewhere,
get a bit amorous.
Yeah, and as I say, I had lots of wonderful friends, and like it was known. It's just like Chris is a Chris is an untouched, like, cause,
you've been unspoiled.
Yeah, he's a clean boy. But yes, there was this kind of this feeling in the room, like like dotted around like the Union Bar of just like, oh, this is happening. And so like the friend, like the person whose friend it was just like, well, I'm gonna be elsewhere. Like, do you want to take our dorm keys? And it's like, okay, and it's like, and in the little bowl of protection that they have on the bar, that's empty, and it's like, oh no, and like my good friend, like she's just like, here, take mine, and like this kind of almost like this is bringing people together. Like it's finally happening for Chris.
It feels like an American Pie type of 100%.
Like Sum 41 is playing in the background. Everyone's just like, yeah, like going on. and we're back in the dorm, and it's happening, and it's standard, first time, like it's fun, but it's a little fumbly, it's a little awkward, and she asks me to do something, as like communication is key, and and I'm having such a wonderful time, I'm so enthusiastic, and I respond, okie dokie, and then she stops, like it's like music wasn't playing, but like there's like a record scratch, and she generally goes, did you just say okie dokie? No siree, Bob.
I was trying to imagine in my head as you were building this up, like, what's gone wrong? What embarrassing outcome? But I would have never even pictured or guessed that you said okie dokie.
I wasn't trying to be funny. I mean, it just slipped out of me so naturally. Like, just like I was enthusiastic.
I mean, it's really nice.
Yeah, but it completely ruined the moment. Like, I was like, and she genuinely had to be, no, let's stop. I can't. We need to regroup for a bit. Like, it took a while, and eventually, then the rest of the night happened. But
wow.
it took about an hour or so. Just that's how much okie dokie will just ruin the moment.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. And bless her. I hope she's well. Like, she was just in town for one night. We never saw each other again after that. I hope this person is doing well. You did a kind and neighborly thing. I'm sorry I said okie dokie.
Imagine she's been really into it.
I know.
So, I'll say that again, and you're reaching climax. Okie dokie.
Yeah. She loves it when you talk like a Fargo character.
I'm so pleased to hear that it didn't ruin the whole night. That it just, rightfully so, it put a stopper on it.
Yeah.
Until she was able to process.
Yeah.
That you'd said okie dokie.
And good on her for like communicating. It's just like no, we can't let that happen. Like we need to let's stop.
She just momentarily thought she was sleeping with Ned Flanders.
Yes. Hi diddly ho,
At this point, I should mention, as ever now, that we will and have started a Patreon for this podcast. The real lifeblood of independent podcasts. If you want to sign up, it's only £3 a month, and you will be really supporting a podcast that badly needs it. So thank you very much for anyone that already has signed up. But before we go, let me thank you again, Chris Thorburn.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people see, hear, or anything you in the future?
I'm doing 5 days at the Edinburgh Fringe with the Stand Comedy Club. So that's from the 12th till the 16th. But yeah, I'm always cutting about, gigging throughout Scotland. You can catch me online at CB Thorburn, except for TikTok, where I'm Chris_Thorburn, because CB Thorburn exists, but I forgot the password for it. So so that's there as well. You can follow both of them. One's going to be a lot more active than the other.
That's funny. I noticed that Roscoe has two and one he doesn't use. I wonder if that's what's happened to him.
You know what probably happened is the same thing that I did, like where like you set up a TikTok account and then you're like, I'm not doing TikTok.
Yeah.
And then a few years pass and I'm like, oh no, turns out everyone's on TikTok.
Yeah.
Right, this is happening. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Your stories were superb. Thank you to all our listeners as per usual. Big thanks as always to Sean Stables, to Chris Thorburn, our actual guest, who will be editing. So thanks to you and that, guys, as well.
I'm waving to myself in the future. How you doing? Have you showered yet today? You haven't, have you? No.
And a big thank, as always, to the Stand Comedy Club, who let us film and record our podcast in their wonderful venue. I've been Chris Forbes. We'll see you next time.